الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. السلام عليكم everyone. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما. Today we're continuing on al-wudu. I think we were in the last pillar of al-wudu, which was what? Washing the feet. But we had not completed what we were saying about wiping over the head. So wiping over the head. So can anyone give us a summary on the fara'id al-wudu quickly? On the spot. The verse says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا قمتم من الصلاة فاغسلوا وجوهكم وأيديكم إلى المرافق وامسحوا برؤوسكم وأرجلكم إلى الكعبين. So there we have four pillars. When you believe when you go to salah, pray, wash your faces, and then your hands to the elbows, wipe over your head, and then do your feet. So those are four, including the intention when you start. That's five. And we spoke about al-muwala wa dalk. Al-muwala is the continuity. What dalk is to wipe over with the inside of your palm. Okay, so I think we stopped at على مسح الرأس وما هي الأشياء التي تدخل في المسح وما هو. يجب in the Malikiyya it is wajib to do the entire head. مسح جميع الرأس وما من نبات الشعر المعتاد. If someone has hair someone does not have any hair, you start from where it would normally start, which is right above right here. And we've spoken about the limits of your face, so that's where the head starts. مع مسح الشعر مع مسح شعر الصدغين. الصدغ, we said whatever is above here, but الصدغ is really the part between the ears and the eyes. So whatever is above this line is part of the head. Whatever is part of underneath that is part of the face. So الصدغ is this line between the eye and the ear. So it says here مسح شعر الصدغين مما فوق العظم الناتئ من الوجه ويدخل في مسح الرأس البياض الذي فوق وتدي الأذن. And also what is above al-watad. Al-watad, we've spoken about that before. So anything which is white above this little piece of ear that we have here, above that, the white above that is part of the head, not part of the face. Okay. كما يجب مسح ما استرخى من الشعر ولو طال جدا. This is the mashhur. The mashhur in the Maliki is to wipe the hair of the man or the woman, whether it is short or long. So whether the hair is short or long, especially a woman who has braids, who's very long, or very long hair, she has to wipe over it like this, like all the way down, and then do coming back. So that's it's a sort of sometimes it's difficult for a woman to do that. مسح ما استرخى من الشعر ولو طال جدا. Even if the hair is very long, wiping over that, all of it to the end. That first part, like going this way, going from here to the end of it, is wajib. كما يجب مسح ما استرخى من الشعر ولو طال جدا وليس على الماسح سواء كان ذكرا أو أنثى. So this is no difference between male or female. To do that, and also especially if a woman or a man has braids, and ينقض المطفورة ولو اشتد الضفر. So if the person has braids and you don't have to undo your braids, okay, you can wipe over your braids even if the braids are very tight. Okay, the only exception here is if the braids have strings around them. إلا إذا كان بخيوط كثيرة, not just 2 or 3 or 4, but many strings. Again, in the Maliki, this is very, very strict. It's the strictest, one of the strictest in all the schools. ويغتفر الخيطان. So if the braids only have 2 little strings, that's not a big deal. It's not considered. والمسح على الحائل وعلى حائل كالحناء. And also wiping over any ha'il is something which comes in between. Ha'il, I don't know what the right translation. Kal hanna, you know what is al hanna, right? That's what women do, or even men, when they want to tan their hair. So if it's just tanning their hair, or you know, changing the color of your hair, that doesn't make sense, because that's your hair. That's how the hair is. So here, my personal, the thing that I want to share with you today is how far is that in the Maliki? We are very strict on wiping over the hair, in the interpretation of وَامْسَحُوا بِرُؤُوسِكُمْ. It's different from the interpretation of the Shafi'i. الطبعيدية برؤوسكم is just a little bit of your hair is wajib, but in the Malikiyah, is the entire head. So if we have al-ha'il, if we have like something which comes in between your head and your hair, like what comes in between your hand and your hair, so like this, or al-amama, or a khimar, or a hijab of a woman, then what do? That's what I am understanding here, and apparently it says وَالْمَسْحُ عَلَى حَائِلِ الْحَنَّاءِ, so that seems to be acceptable. It's not, wallahu alam. However, what I wanted to do is go back and see what the first thing that I want to share with you is the opinion of the Malikiyah. When I read Ad-Dardir at the bottom of the Sharh of Al-Imam Al-Sawi, he says, you know, attention, at-tanbih, ينفع النساء في الوضوء تقليد الشافعي. It is beneficial, or it's sufficient for the woman to wipe over her hair, just a little bit of it, like going like this. Okay, تقليد الشافعي, and this is what the Shafi'iyya do, because the Shafi'iyya, it is wajib to do just a few hairs. So I think that solves everything without going any further. But we find that there are other opinions. For instance, if a woman is outside, or she's not in her normal environment, she's in a small and tight or crowded washroom, or she's with other men, she cannot remove her hijab and then do the wiping over her head. So this is like a mashaqqa. So if it is a mashaqqa, we can do mashu ala al-khamri according to the Hanabila, and they have a hadith, they have a dalil. Al-mashu ala al-khamri. So the woman, you know, simply goes like this, just like we do wipe over our khuf, our socks, our leather socks. Just like we do over our leather socks, the woman can do it over their khimar. In the Hanbali school, we don't have that hadith, we don't use that dalil in the Malikiyah. Some schools have used al-qiyas, like making comparisons, extrapolation between this, but the Malikiyah do not use al-qiyas here, because al-qiyas for al-khuffayn is rukhsa, and we don't use this rukhsa for the head. We don't use qiyas over the rukhsa, apparently. So, but since we have it also in the Hanabila, that's another option. But let's keep with the Malikis and what Imam Sawi said, and which is referring back to the Shafi'i. The Hanabila here say that this is if it is mashaqqa, إذا شق ذلك عليك, and they have a dalil, like I said. واشترط جمهور من يجوز المسح على خمار المرأة أن يكون مما يشق نزعه. So al-jumhur, the other schools as well, go with this opinion, but only in the condition that it is a mashaqqa, if it is hard to do. So that's fine. And there's even some that have gone in between the Shafi'is and the Hanabila, that for the woman, if she's in that situation, she can do two things, not just masah ala al-khimar, but do like the Shafi'iyya. So you do a little bit of your hair, and add as well, continue and do this, and you can find this in some of the fatawa. And then there are a hadith, you know, at the end of the day, which one can find, and we have to there are a hadith and there is dalil, but we have to rely upon our scholars who can explain why certain hadith are used and why they are not used, and there are like fundamentals, usul, that are followed. So the hadith here is قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم امسحوا على الخفين والخمار, which is very interesting here. And this is Rawahu Ahmad. That's why the Hanabila use this, have this opinion. But again, going back to the Maliki and sticking to the usul and making it really, really easy, Al-Imam al-Sawi says, ينفع النساء في الوضوء تقليد الشافعي. It is sufficient for the women to follow or to imitate or to go by the ruling of the Shafi'iyya by using the ruling of the Shafi'iyya. And that's what I wanted to share with you today about Mashu al-Ra'si. Any questions on this before we go on? واضح, clear? Okay, very good. جزاكم الله خير.
Sorry, just a quick question. I was under the impression that men have to undo braids if they're like flat on the head to make wudu. Is that correct? Or is
if they're what? Repeat the question.
I was under the impression that men have to undo their braids to make wudu if the braids are flat on the head.
Like this. That's interesting. I don't know, and I don't think so. Wallahu alam. That's very interesting. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. Wallahu alam. That's very interesting. Allahu alam. Allahu alam. But I don't think so, because that's touching the hair. You're touching your hair. Okay. The other if it's like a ponytail or like whatever they call that, the braid is coming out, then you wanna the surface of that. Wallahu alam. I don't know. But according to this, to what they're saying here is even if they have braids for men or women. Okay. وليس على الماسح سواء كان ذكرا أو أنثى أن ينقض المضفور. And here it's very, very general. It doesn't say flat on your head or whether it's a string. It's a braided string. So المضفورة ولو اشتد الضفر أو الضفر, whether the braid is tight or relaxed. Okay, that's it. Wallahu alam. Good question. Next question. تكلم على غسل الرجلين. Let's speak about washing the feet. وما هو حكم تخليل أصابعهما. What is the ruling of wiping or washing between the fingers, the toes of the feet? يجب غسل الرجلين. It's wajib, of course. It's the pillar of wudu. مع إدخال الكعبين. What is that bone in your feet? The ankle. So it must reach the ankle. So that's always. Sorry?
It's either the heel or the ankle. So like the heel would be al-ka'b and the ankle would be al-kahil.
MashaAllah. Okay. So we're talking about the ankle, the bone of the ankle, and there's always discussions whether this is the limit or whether it is included. Same with the elbow, whether it is the limit or whether it is included, and we included to be on the safe side. So we include the ankle. Al-aqab, waylun lil-aqabi min an-nar. Al-aqab is the heel. Wallahu alam. At the bottom. So sometimes they are missed. It's very easy to miss because it's at the back and it's hard to reach. But the question here is what is the ruling of washing between the fingers, the toes? So the answer, where is it? يجب غسل الرجلين مع إدخال الكعبين في الغسيل ويجب تعهد ما تحتهما كالعرقوب وباطن القدم بالغسل. So everything underneath the heel, the ankle, and underneath your feet, the heel, and then ويندب تخليل أصابعهما. If you recall, yundabu means it is mustahab. It is highly desirable to wash between the toes. If you recall, in the earlier classes, I said that it is wajib to do the takhlil al-asabi'i when you do the hands, when you wash your hands. It is wajib to do this. Once, of course, so on. But it is mustahab only. Why? Because it's difficult. It's more difficult to fulfill that when you wash your feet, it's, you know, not everyone is capable to lower, you know, to have to have a reach, comfortable reach to your feet. ويندب تخليل أصابعهما ويكون الدلك باليد اليسرى. Preferably, الدلك should be with the left hand. ويكون الدلك, it doesn't give us a ruling, but it's a recommendation, because we're touching our feet and you want to use the left. Moving on, we have, I will try to make it less than 30 minutes, inshallah. It's now up to 18. The question now is as-sunan. سنن الوضوء كم سنن الوضوء وما هي. And you know, when we go through these, we don't have to understand what is the dalil. We just want to grasp the rulings, and the rulings are the pillars, or the fara'id, the mustahabbat, the sunan, the mustahabbat, wal makruhat, wal mubah, what is acceptable, what is permissible. Doesn't have any ruling. It is a ruling. So what is a pillar, what is a sunnah, what is permissible, and what is makruh, and then what is haram, or to be avoided. And when the fuqaha, this, you know, when we start at our level, we just want to go through those things and understand how many pillars, how many sunan, and so on. But some of the fuqaha, when they go through any one of these topics, they spend 2 hours, because they don't want you to just understand. They don't want you to just know. They want you to understand where it's coming from. They don't want you to become a faqih and a mufti, but at least they want you to have a grasp of what the fiqh, how the fiqh came to this. Because some people think that fiqh is derived from the faqih. You know, the faqih goes back to the sources of tashri'ah. And the sources of tashri'ah, if you want to break it down in two, you have you know, al-manqul, or you have the al-nusus al-shar'iyya, the references of al-shara', which is the Quran and Sunna. And in the Malikiyya, you add amalu al-Madina, the actions of the people of Medina, and that's what the companions did after the Prophet left, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what the companions of the companions did. So it's not just another fundamental, it's really mutawatir. It reaches the level of hadith al-sahih. It's above hadith al-sahih, which is al-mutawatir. 4,000 of the companions were buried in Medina, and many more have. So how many thousands have taken these amal al-Medina from them. And then what comes from above, the second source would be the rationale, the rationale, which is things like al-istirsal wal-qiyas wal-istihsan, and all of those are not, again, the fuqaha don't derive them from, you know, from imagination. They come from very well studied, very well based extrapolations. And I'll give you a very quick example. For instance, we'll talk about something which is not alcohol, but it makes your mind you know, disappear, or you lose the control of your mind. That becomes haram, you know. So it takes the same ruling as alcohol. So if it affects your mind, we give it a ruling. So the fuqaha will give a ruling to that. And if it is lethal and deadly, again, that's also not acceptable. So all of those things are derived from very, very well studied, and didn't want to go through this, but this is just to tell you that these rulings that we are coming up with are not from thin air. They really are derived from very well, and they've been studied through generations after generations after generations of top scholars, like thousands for each generation, thousands. So we have a very rich and well-founded foundation of these rulings. So kam sunan al-wudu? How many sunan of wudu? Again, no need to go through the dalil, but they are all based on dalil. There are eight sunan. غسل اليدين إلى الكوعين. غسل اليدين. So here we understand that washing the hand until till this part here was what's this part called?
The wrist bone.
Okay, that's good. The joint here, the wrist joint. So first we said in the Quran, وَالْيَدَيْنِ إِلَى what is it called? إلى المرفقين, المرافق, إلى المرافق. So اليد is open in Arabic. We have to delimit it. So اليدين إلى المرافق and اليدين إلى الكوعين. So the sunnah is to wash just this part. The sunnah. So this is where we start. We start with this, with washing your hands. غسل اليدين إلى الكوعين والمضمضة والاستنشاق والاستنثار ورد مسح الشعر رأسي ومسح الأذنين وتجديد الماء لهما وترتيب الفرائض. غسل اليدين, the first one is washing your hands till that wrist, till that ankle. What's it called again? That joint.
The wrist.
Okay, that till the wrist. So that's the first one. مع إدخال sorry. والمضمضة is washing your mouth. والاستنشاق is to suck in the water into your nose. والاستنثار is to throw it out of your nose. ورد مسح الرأس and to wipe back. So when that's the second movement. And in the hadith you have one hadith that speaks about the Prophet ﷺ was seen to wipe his head going from the front to the back and then back to the front. And there is even a hadith where he starts from the back to the front and then from the front to the back. So the first one is the wajib and the second one is the sunnah. So the first one is the wajib and the second one is the sunnah. But we choose this and we keep it like the first one is going from the front, and you will see why in a few minutes, inshallah, or in the next class. ورد مسح الرأس ومسح الأذنين, and to wipe the ears, or to wipe, not to wash. مسح is to wipe. الأذنين وتجديد الماء لهما. So if you're doing it 3 times, every time you wipe your head, your ear, you wet your fingers again. تجديد الماء is to renew that wetting of the fingers so that you can wipe your ears again. وترتيب الفرائض, and to have the order, the proper order of al-fara'id, of the pillars that we've just learned. You know, the face, the hands, the head, the feet. That has to be, okay, those 4 have to have order. The niyyah, the face, the hands, the head, and the feet. That's the order. And that order is a sunnah. In the Shafi'i, I believe it was the Shafi'i, it is a pillar. And why do they say it's a pillar? Because in the verse, you know, for them in the usul, if the order is found in the Quran, then it must be a pillar. We don't say that. In the Malikiyah we have a different. Anyway, that's, again, I didn't want to go through the differences, but this order is a sunnah. Tartibul fara'id. Let's start speaking. Okay, so we're at 26 minutes. Let's try and finish in about 2 or 3 minutes. We don't have to complete al-wudu, sunan al-wudu, I mean. Let's at least start with تكلم على غسل اليدين إلى الكوعين. Let's speak, then discuss washing the hands to the wrist joint. يسن غسل اليدين إلى الكوعين قبل إدخالهما في الإناء. Before starting to use the whatever container you have. And this is perhaps not contextual because we don't have that anymore, but it's a mas'ala in the traditional fiqh, and it's good to keep that in our syllabus, to go back and to learn from the material of the traditional madhab. Because right now we just open the tap water, put our hands underneath, wash it like this, and done. First of all, I asked this many times to my teachers, how do we wash our hands? Do we start with the right and then the left? Someone says yes, start with the right 3 times and then the left 3 times. And I asked Sheikh Ahmed, the great faqih, the Maliki, the Hanbali in Medina, حفظهم الله جميعا, and I told him, how do we do that? He says, no such thing, it's not anywhere. He doesn't believe that we have anything specific or any special dalil. So he says 3 times like this, and then that would be the second time, and so on. So anyway, so غسل اليدين إلى الكوعين, and the traditional madhab says, فإن أدخلهما في الإناء وغسلهما فيه لم يكن آتيا بالسنة. So if you are not using a tap water, if you're using a container like a little bucket, and that bucket is movable, it's not heavy, okay, it's a small little container that you are going to use for wudu, don't put your hand in it, okay, pour it over your hand, or pour like so the right or the left, whatever it is, maybe I think you push with the right hand over the left so you can wash your right one, and then your left like this. So this is the way to do it. But you don't, they tell us that we should not enter our hands into the, and it's very they're very very, not want to say serious, but meticulous about this. They're talking about with concern and conscience, because they say at the end it's not the sunnah. It's not the sunnah to when you start making wudu, to enter your hand in the ina. That's okay. So فإن أدخلهما في الإناء وغسلهما فيه لم يكن آتيا بالسنة. So if you enter both hands in the, or one hand in the bucket that you are going to be using for your wudu, it's okay, but it is not the sunnah. ولا يمتنع إدخالهما في الإناء إلا بثلاث شروط. The only reason, the only time that you will be, that you should, that it's okay for you to enter your hand is for the following: أن يكون الماء قليلا. So this is like really the opposite. So when are you not supposed to enter your hands in the vessel or in the bucket? If it is a little bucket, because you can move it, so you should not enter your hand. وأن يمكن الإفراغ منه كالصفحة. It's so small that you can pour it, so you shouldn't enter your hands. وأن يكون غير جار. So you're not sitting in a basin where the water is flowing like a river. So this is like stagnant. So in those three cases, you don't enter your hands. فإن كان الماء كثيرا. So if the water is a lot, it's a big bucket. Or if the water is moving, or if ولم يكن الإخراج منه كالحوض. And if the bucket is so big that you cannot move it around so you can pour from it, then it's okay. I'm sorry, I mean, this is like, again, it's not something which we need these days, contemporarily and contextually, but it's part of the traditional fiqh. So we went through it. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. If you have any questions, please ask. I'm going to stop the recording so we can be a little bit free in doing that. Alhamdulillah, jazakum Allah khair for attending. وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه.